Okay, for the hinge that we're ready to put in or create, in your cutting list, I give you the measurements. It's 6.5 by 4. And I told you to cut a piece of cardstock. That's if you want to use a cardstock hinge. With this new paper from Country Craft Creations, I'm real confident. I used it in the Ireland Forever and using the pattern, so I'm going to use the pattern in this one. You use what you're comfortable with. Artisan cardstock or the printed paper. So I'm going to do the printed paper. So I have a piece cut here that's 4 by 6.5, and I'm going to score my 4-inch side every 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. Okay, so now I want this side up, so I'm going to this is going to be our attachments going down. I believe this one's a hinge. So I do these without any wings. So the first line I'm going to fold up, skip that one. So 1, 2 1/2 inches together, skip a 1/2 inch, then the next 2 go together. That. Press it down. Now you see you've got 2 hinges and a 1/2 inch space. The next 1/2 inch space skip, and the last 2 we put together. Just like that. So we have it looking like that. Your middle one is folded together, the back side's folded together, the 2 outer ones are folded. So now we're going to glue these together. So the one on the outside, I'm putting glue on one of the 1/2 inch sections. Put it to the one next to it, and I'm going to burnish that so that they stick together really well. I want to make sure that they do stick together. So we got that one. I'm going to put glue in the center valley here on just one of the 1/2 inches. Bring those 2 together and burnish. So we have, push it down so that you have that space in there. So we have a hinge, a space, and a hinge. And the last 2 are going to go together on the back side. Put your glue on the 1/2 inch section. Put them together. Burnish. Go. Whoops, too much glue came out. Clean that off. Both ends. Okay, and make sure we burnished it. Okay, so when I open this up, my hinge is in the middle, a hinge on the end on each side. So I have 2 1/2 inch spaces, and when you flip it over, I have 2 1/2 inch spaces on the back. So we're going to grab the book here, and what I'm going to do, because I'm using this instead of cardstock, but even with your cardstock, you're going to need a piece of pattern paper here in this section. So let me grab that real quick and add that to our cutting list, because I did forget to put that on there. I decided to use the same paper that I'm using for this section here as I used for the hinge. So this piece is 3 3/8 wide by 6 7/8 tall, and I'm just going to glue it right here inside. I did ink the edges. I wanted a non-directional piece in here so that it doesn't matter which way the album's turned, because really this is the correct way for our album, not this up and down. So this is going in here. Just line it up, kind of line it up with these other papers that are on. So you've got about a 1/16 of an inch from each hinge side. And I'm going to burnish that in. This smaller one here. Okay, and before we put our hinge piece on, we're going to add score tape to the hinges. So I'm using the 3/8 of an inch. So on each side of each hinge that will be sticking up, we're going to put this, and we're going to kind of center it. We don't want it all the way to the top, and we don't want it all the way to the bottom. So I'm just kind of center it. Leaves about a 1/16 of an inch from the top fold edge and from the bottom edge. And you want to put one on both sides of each hinge. And of course, do not put anything in that 1/2 inch space between them. Just on the hinge. So you'll have 6 pieces of score tape here. And I do use score tape for this step because it's easier to put your pages on. We're going to have more than one in this one. And the last one here. Then after I put this on, I do go ahead and do a slight angle cut on each hinge. Now burnish your score tape backing down so it's easier to pull up once it's in the book. And be sure and burnish front and back on all 3 of these hinges. Okay, so now when we open it back up, we have 3 hinges with score tape on it, nothing on the back. So grab your scissors and place the base of your scissor along the fold line here, and just do a little cut on the corner on each end. So there's that. So grab your book. And we could have put in a lot more pages, but I just decided I just wanted 3. If you wanted more, you would have to make your hinge a little bigger. Now I want to make sure it's straight, so I'm going to get it here. About right there is my position. I'm going to make it straight. Right. Use my book as the straight position. And then we're going to make it about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom and from the top. So I'm going to use glue because it gives me a little wiggle room to straighten everything up. So I'll put a good amount of glue on this back side, 2 sections that are flat here on the back. And we're going to line up this one. I want the hinge standing up. Okay, then I'm going to burnish in each one, holding it in place and burnish, and then wipe off any glue that comes out the end. Okay, so there's our hinge in place, ready for our pages. So I didn't get it quite centered. Well, yeah, it looks pretty good when they're opened up. maybe off just a little bit, but I'm okay with that. So I think that looks good, and that gives me more room for this part in here anyway, so I think that's probably better. Okay, so now I'm going to put this up. We're ready to start on the main pages. So pre-cut these. The basic pages, we have 3 that are 6.5 by 6.5, no scoring, and 3 that are 6.5 by 7.5, and we're going to score the 7.5 side. So we'll put that in, 7.5 at the top, and we're going to score at a 1/2 inch. And score at 7. So that gives you a 1/2 inch on each side. Make sure my scoring is right. That looks a little wide there on the end, so my paper may be cut wrong. I want to double check that. 7.5 in at the top. Score at 7. It's better. And at 1/2. Same way with the third one. The 1/2 inch and then the 7 inch. Okay. So double check this one, and I did have it kind of off here where I cut it, but when I recut it, it straightened it out, and so I have 2 1/2 inches on that one. So now we're ready to fold and burnish those 3. Get our hinges going that we're going to make the page with. And this will be a pocket insert page. Excuse me. This will be a pocket insert page that we will have insert flaps that go inside of it. Okay, so grab your 6.5 by 6.5. I'm going to open this up with the fold facing up. Press this hinge down, and I'm going to put this on the hinge that's going to attach to the piece here. So we line these up nice and straight and burnish. Okay, now flip it over, and where you've got it on this side, you're going to put your hinge with the, your glue onto the hinge that's folded towards the center. So we're making this envelope a page that's open all the way through. I'll show you a sleeve where it's making a page with a sleeve on it. Okay, so burnish that really good. Make sure they're lined up the way they should be. This one just a little bit down. Head it off just the teeniest bit, but I didn't like that. And that's why I used glue. Okay, so now we're going to burnish that and make sure it's down flat. Okay, so you have a sleeve that opens up like that. That goes all the way through. So do the other two exactly the same. Okay, so there's all three ready to go in. The sleeves are going to go this way. So it's the opening to the side, and then the other opening will go onto the hinge. Now then, I am not adding flaps or pockets to any of these. If you wanted to add some pockets, you could. I am going to just have the inserts that go in them. I'll show you those real quick. I have 6 of these that are 6 by 12. So you're going to score each one, put your 12-inch in, and you're going to score at 6 inches. The next thing I'm going to do is round the bottom corners so that they go in and out easily, and I'm going to use the 1/2 inch. So you would take your 1/2 inch corner rounder and you would round each one. So I'm going to do the rest of these off camera, but you'll do all 6 the exact same way. Okay, so now we're ready to add patterned paper. And you're going to pattern as much as you want. You can do both sides of your main page. You could piece it if you want to. You could use the full, cut out a full sheet. Same on these. You could leave the inside blanks and just pattern the outsides. This part's going to be up to you. So I'm going to go ahead off camera and do put my pattern papers on. I'll be back in the tutorial to show you, after I put my pattern paper on, to show you how to put the pages onto the hinges of your spine. I've been working on my main page and flaps, and I've put this one on, and I want to make sure I popped in real quick and told you to pay attention. Now remember, this album opens up like this, so you want to make sure that when you cut your pattern paper, that on this flap, like this, look at it upside down, this first one here, so this is how it's going to be in the album. Let me grab that real quick. So see how you open your album from the top, and this is going to be in it here. So I'm just going to slip that on. So when it's on the hinge, it is like this. So this flap here, you want this to be your width, and this is your height, and this is your top for the front side on patterns that are directional. Same thing underneath here, this main page. So the width and the height are the same, but you want to make sure that your pattern is so that you're looking at it in the front. But when you flip it, you're going to reverse it, and the top is going to be on this flap, the rounded part. See the rounded corners on this front one? The rounded are at the bottom of the pattern design, and on the back side, the rounded corners are at the top, here at the top of your flap. And then the same way here, these are going to be going this direction. So it's reversed on the back side. If it doesn't bother you, that's not a problem, but I want to make sure that you were aware of that so you're not disappointed when you're flipping through and you want it to look all the same direction, the patterns, the design. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to get back to doing mine, and I'll be back in when I have them all done to show them to you and show you how to put them in the book. So I have all my pages, 3 base pages patterned, and the flaps ready to go into the book. So this is what we're going to do next. Now we don't want to put these on with the flaps attached, put in. So pull the flaps out. And I'm going to set them aside here in order of how I want them to go. I mean, you can put them in any way you want to, but I'm going to take them all out. You don't want them in your way when you're putting your page in. So take all those out. And then I did want to show, let's see here. I have this one here, the second one. I wanted to use this paper, but I didn't have enough. It was kind of short down here. So I took a piece of cardstock for a flat pocket. This is the width of the page. So it was, I cut it down, it was out of this one of the scraps, 6.5 by 2.5, and I just glued it on each end and across the bottom and made this little pocket for a recipe card or something. And then I used a scrap of the matching pattern paper to lengthen this. So you could do this on all of yours if you wanted to, or just the center one like I did. You know, I'm not sure, I may add some to these others. It depends in my decorating. So that is an option for you. So we're going to do the last one first. And I want to pay attention to make sure I'm getting the front. That's the front. So this lacy for me is the front on mine, on this last one. So I'm going to turn this so I can see good. We're going to work on the last one. So we press the hinge back, and I want you to, I've already dry fit these on to make sure they fit. I want you to peel part of this tape backing off, about probably 2.5 to 3 inches, or 2 inches, just enough to make a tail. So whatever that is, about 2 inches. And you're going to open this up completely. And again, make sure this lacy, if that's your front, make sure your front one is facing towards the front. You don't want things upside down. And we're just going to fit it over the hinge, put it down, and I'm going to keep it about 1/16 of an inch off the bottom. And I'm just making sure here that everything is straight. Okay. Press down up here at the top, hold the page, and just pull that tape back in off. Now mine peeled off here, and I'm going to take my scissor, and I pulled it, some of the backing tore. There's still backing in there, and you don't want that. You want to make sure all the paper backing from your tape comes out. So now I don't have a tail going there. And I reposition this page. Make sure. Okay, then grab this and pull it out. Okay, burnish that down. Now then we flip it back, and then I'm going to take my scissor again and just reach in there and get that tape backing off. The reason I'm using my scissors because it can pull it, help me to pull it out. You might use tweezers or something like that, but I'm going to just pull, make sure and press it down, pull it out, all the tape backing, and then burnish. So there is page, the third page is in the back. Then that lays down like that. Okay? So now we're ready to move on to the second one. Just as easy. Press your hinge. I like to put the front on first, back, and pull the backing. Then I'm going to take a look. This is my second one at my flaps. So this one, it gets confusing here. Base page. I believe this is the second one. Double check. First one has the cherries, yes. And this is the second one. So it is the red. Make sure my pocket is toward the bottom. Okay, so open up this sleeve completely and position it over it. Again, I'm going to be about 1/16 of an inch off the bottom here, and I'm going to make sure it's lining up, and it should. Like all of this here. Press this in, pull your backing off. There we go, and burnish that. Okay, so then I flip it over, and again grab the scissors or a pokey tool, whatever you like to use to get your tape backing off. Grab that tail. Sometimes I have to use my scissor to kind of just snip it, grab it a little bit. It doesn't want to come out. It's got a good fit. There we go. Press that down, and then let's just pull this all off because it's in place. And we're going to burnish. Second page is in. And then we flip the hinge to the right again, and then of course this is our front. Pay attention that we're doing the right direction. You know, want your cherries. This is the top, so look at it and make sure. Peel some tape off. And then open up the sleeve. Just take a little extra time double checking in everything to make sure you have it the right direction, your pattern. So I'm going to push that down and then pull this off. There we go. Burnish, lay it back, get the other tape backing out. Okay. And burnish it down. The pages are in. Okay, so now we can put our flaps back. So we turn this around the way it goes. So cherries are first. Flat, but I'm going to use some paper clips and things in my book to I had to get something to drink there to make it all stay in place, and you can use it to clip recipe cards, clippings out of magazines or whatever you want. So there's that one. And then on this side, the oven. Can't see it. There we go. There's the oven. And then the refrigerator. And then last, the mixing of making a dessert or something at the table. So there we go. So there's that. That's our pages. It all comes up.